our life. The morning lesson on Shabbat especially is a very high occasion and so it's very important with which thoughts, with which intentions we come to the morning lesson. We cannot change our thoughts, but we have to work on our intentions and we're capable of changing them. We now need to tune our heart towards the connection between us and be ready for the morning lesson. We heard from Rav that the heart of the teacher is always wide open for the students. Right now we have an opportunity and a possibility to enter into the teacher's heart together, to make efforts to connect and draw the reforming light so that ultimately we will be the partners of the Creator. One cannot correct one's thought, but should only aim the heart, make one's heart straight to the Creator. Then all his thoughts and actions will naturally be to bestow contentment upon his Maker. When he corrects his heart to be a heart, and desire of the heart will then be the key in which to place the upper light. One cannot correct one's thought, but should only aim the heart, make one's heart straight to the Creator. Then all of his thoughts and actions will naturally be to bestow contentment upon his Maker. When he corrects his heart to be a heart, and desire of the heart will then be the key in which to place the upper light. Dr. Michael Laitman. We need to open our hearts. Our hearts are in the hands of the Creator, and this is why we should turn to him. So he will help us to open our hearts, and if we insist on it, we will feel that this is truly the key that opens our hearts, and then it will happen. Again, we need to open our hearts. Our heart is in the hands of the Creator, and this is why we must turn to him. So he will help us open our heart, and if we insist on it, we will feel that this is truly the key that opens our heart, and then it will happen. They are amazing. Spiritually, nobody can overcome without assistance from you and the 10. Nobody. No such thing that they are advancing on their own. That's not progress. They can be wiser. They can be speaking nicer. But spiritually, and spiritual degrees, nobody can rise, even to the smallest of degrees, if he doesn't receive a push from the friends. Nobody. So if somebody feels that has advanced, it's a sign that the friends have thought about him. From Laitman. Spiritually, nobody can overcome without assistance from you and the 10. Nobody. No such thing that they are advancing on their own. That is not progress. They can be wiser. They can be nicer. Speaking nicer. But spiritually and spiritual degrees, nobody can rise even to the smallest of degrees if he doesn't receive a push from the friends. Nobody. If somebody feels that he has advanced, it's a sign that the friends have thought about him. Rob Laitman. Excerpt 4ish. We must brace ourselves and say that we are already standing close to the King's palace, for every penny joins onto a great amount. And perhaps soon we will see that the gate is wide open before us, and we will be rewarded with entering and delighting with the King. We must brace ourselves and say that we are already standing near the King's palace, for every penny joins into a great amount, and perhaps soon we will see that the gate is wide open before us, and we will be rewarded with entering and delighting with the King. Silent workshop. How do I join my penny to the common amount during the lesson? How do I join my penny to the common amount during the lesson? Silent workshop. Shalom. Hello friends. In the first part of the lesson we will study from a recorded lesson from December 2, 2021. Shamari article 241. Again 241. Call upon him when he is near. Hello. We're reading from the writings of Shamarti articles. Article 241. Call upon him when he is near. You can find the article on Kapla.media.info or go to the study materials tab in the air system. You can also send questions. Relevant questions may be aired during the lesson. Yes, as usual we progress in the scrutiny of the internal work of man, which is the attitude of the Creator, how to come closer to him, how to adhere to him, to begin to feel, to understand, to grasp onto him with all forces of our spirit, to adhere with all the forces of our spirit to the Creator. And here he gives us an additional means which is very important, I would say the most important for beginners, how we need to respond, to react in certain moments in adhering, in coming near to the Creator, It says the prophet writes, call upon him when he is near. What is call you upon him when he is near? Meaning that the Creator, he always controls us, and he always rules over us, and we need, each time, and what is given to us to respond correctly to what he's doing with us. Just like a mother who's taking care of the baby and awakens him and wants each time to reveal some reaction out of it to make him happy, that he shall feel her, she'll feel the world more. That's how the Creator awakens us, and we need to respond to that. And so, the article explains to us how we need to see, to feel, to respond in each and every moment. That each moment what we feel, all these moments come from the Creator, and we need to use each and every moment as much as possible to take advantage of it in order to more and more and more to adhere in the Creator, in what he is awakening in us, the sensation of these moments. So let's read, and we'll find here the correct nice new maybe approach for us to coming closer to connection with the Creator. So, please Moshe Shari 241, call upon him when he's near. Call upon him when he is near. We must understand what when he is near means, since the whole earth is full of his glory. Thus, he's always near. So what does when he is near mean? Meaning that there are times that the Creator is farther and sometimes he's closer. How can that be from the Creator with respect to the created beings? Yes, it would seem that there is a time when he is not near. Thing is that states are always evaluated with respect to the attaining and feeling individual. If one does not feel his nearness, then nothing will come out of it, as everything is measured according to one's feeling. One person may feel the world is filled with abundance, and the other will not feel the goodness of the world. So he cannot say that there is a good world. Instead, he states as he feels that the world is filled with suffering, meaning each and everyone is in the perception of reality according to what they feel at the moment. And of course, this sensation comes to one from the Creator because there's none else besides him. And then it turns out, really, one has for himself the world entirely good, and the other sees himself in a world that is entirely in suffering, or somewhere in the middle. So who is this dependent on the Creator? They say he is the good that does good to the good and the evil, and they say he fills the whole world. So I guess it seems that it's all dependent on man how he responds to how the Creator awakens him in each and every moment. And that's how it is with respect to all the people of this world, also with respect to those who have the tendency to reveal the Creator, and also to those who are apathetic and don't understand and don't feel that they are in a world that the Creator fills it entirely at all. And the prophet warns about that. Call upon him when he is near. He comes and says no, that the fact that you are calling on the Creator is because he's near. It means that now you have an opportunity. If you pay attention, you will feel that the Creator is near you. It is a sign of the Creator's nearness. Meaning if you feel that you have a certain connection with the Creator, then you need to know it's the Creator turning to you, or it's not you who are the first to turn to him, because typically that's how we think. I now have a desire for the Creator. I want to come close. I turn to him. I ask. I may have certain the man's complaints why the critter is not bringing me closer. Why is he leaving me? And it's actually the other way around. He's coming closer to me. He's awakening in me those feelings and those reactions to make me turn to him. And it seems to me that I'm the first on that. It says I'm the first and I'm the last. You just need to correctly decipher your states. But all the states, without exception, come from me. So the fact that a person awakens and he asks the Creator, and doesn't matter with what problem, question, complaint, it's all a reaction to the Creator first turning to him, to the person himself. The awakening comes always from the Creator is the source and the evidence. This is a sign the Creator of the Creator's nearness, desire to be near, and the person is typically full of complaints. Why may not come closer? Why am I not turning to him? Whereas the Creator is not aware of the fact that it's the Creator who turned to him, and he's already awakening. The evidence of this is that we must know that man is not naturally qualified for with the Creator, since it is against man's nature. By creation, man has only a desire to receive while is only to bestow. However, as the Creator calls upon man, it creates a second nature within him, where he wants to revoke his own nature and adhere to him, meaning our entire desire to turn to the Creator, even with our complaints and anything we may have. It all comes to us because the Creator has awakened in us those feelings, those pleas, and the fact that we turn to him, and it seems to us that we have awakened first. Of course, this is all at the expense of the Creator. It comes from him, that clothed in our will to receive, and the Creator, precisely, infinitely precise, in an infinitely precise way, he awakens us in each moment, in each turn, each discernment, each state we're in, that we would gradually scrutinize one by one our nature, compared to the Creator's nature. Hence, one should know that his speaking words of dua and prayer is only from the Creator. He should never think of saying that it is my power and the might of my hand, since it is the complete opposite of his might. This is similar to one who is lost in a dense forest and sees no way out of it, to an inhabited place. So he remains despaired and thinks that he will never return to his home. That's what's happening to us along the way. Many times we feel this way, that there's no future, there are no prospects, nothing good can come out of this. We can't get in order to bestow. We can't get to invest everything and bestow all without receiving anything in return. I'm willing to work on it, specifically in such cases, without seeing any future, and I don't demand any future, and I want it to be this way, willing to remain even in the state for eternity. This is a point through which I could feel the Creator, cause I have an opportunity to allow myself, but typically we're not capable of it yet, and the Creator gradually brings us near to the correct state. But when he sees a person from afar or hears a human voice, the desire and the craving to return to his origin will immediately awaken in him, and he will begin to shout and ask of someone to come and save him. And then he awakens from his despair, his darkness, and typically through the help of the tin, even when a person does not feel like he's getting it from the environment, the Creator is always working on a person through the environment, and the person wakes up and he begins to ask, to cry out. Likewise, one who has lost the good way and entered a bad place and has already accustomed himself to live among beasts for the part of the world to receive, it will never occur to him that he should return to a place of reason, of kosher. Yet when he hears the voice calling him, he awakens to repent. Other words, the Creator nevertheless awakens a person. Although we're all in this forest where we've lost our way, we don't know, we can't come out of it by ourselves, and yet slowly, meaning gradually, one by one, the Creator awakens us, and he extracts us from our egoistic desire. Wow, we're all getting confused. But this is the voice of the Creator and not his own voice, meaning when a person awakens and he wants to once again come, reach spirituality and find out the essence of life, the purpose of life, and not remain on the animate degree as an animal, but rise above it a little bit. This doesn't come to him from himself, where this is considered the voice of the Creator calling on him. But if he has not completed his actions on the path of correction, he cannot feel or believe that this is the voice of the Creator, and he thinks that it's his power and the might of his hand. It's a problem. Until we complete our exertion, we do not feel that it is the Creator calling on us. Sometimes we do feel it, but later it disappears. We forget about it. That is also a correction, this matter of forgetfulness. But nevertheless, this is how we are advancing towards the understanding that throughout our entire lives, the main thing for us is to be sensitive to what I'm hearing from the Creator. Each and every moment there is the voice of the Creator that comes to me through the 10 each and every moment, and that I hear it by myself. And each time we need to be as alert as possible to this voice and never think that it is I who has awakened to the Creator, but it's certain the Creator has awakened towards me. Because if he detected the correct moment in my state among my states where he can awaken me, and these moments are not such that I can discern as better or worse, it can come to a person in a state where he's seemingly not worthy seemingly distant from spirituality, and all of a sudden a desire, a thought, an opportunity appears to him, and he thinks about spirituality and about the Creator. That's the meaning of suddenly hearing the voice of the Creator and calling on him. This is what the prophet warns about, that one should overcome one's view and thought and believe with complete faith that it is the voice of the Creator. It's not the person, but it's the Creator who awakened, and as a result the person also awakens. We are called created beings. We are under the control of the upper force. The world received the Creator, created, and of course controls it, and its force, the upper light, and through these two forces, like through two wires, he is running us, managing us, and we just need to learn that it's all coming from there's not besides him, and we need to learn how we can just connect to this upper governance. Whereas, much as I can anal ego that is disturbing me, preventing me from adhering to the Creator, both on the right and on the left in anything he awakens in me. And in that I awaken my I who seemingly does something here, and I annul towards the upper governance, and I begin my spiritual path from it. Hence when the Creator wishes to bring him out of the dense forest, he shows him a light from afar, and the person gathers and masters the remains of his strength to walk on the path that the light shows him in order to obtain it. But if he does not attribute the light to the Creator and does not say that the Creator is calling him, the light disappears from him and he remains standing in the forest. Meaning, we need to try throughout any state, whatever it may be, to feel that we are under the influence, the upper influence, and as good or as bad, as dark or as lit, everything is. Meaning the feeling in the heart and the understanding in the brain. Doesn't matter, I need to try to always be under the control of the upper force completely, as much as possible. That's a sign that I'm approaching the degree of the embryo, that I'm included in the Creator, and then I begin to grow in it, in him, by adding myself more and more towards his governance in my feeling and in my intellect. Thus he could now show his whole heart to the Creator to come and save him from the bad place, from the will to receive, and bring him to a place of reason called the place of the sons of Adam, people as in Adam. I will be like the Most High, meaning the desire to bestow, though instead he does not use this opportunity that the creature is calling on him, and remains once more as before. If he cannot discern that, notice that everything that comes to him from above. I'm happy to see great many questions. Let's start to slowly scrutinize things one by one, and then we'll read it again. Miracle is short, but extremely important. Again, the main thing in each and every moment, a person needs to catch himself that whatever his state is, in his mind and his heart, it all comes to him from the Creator. And now a person has to construct his correct reaction to what he's received from the Creator in his brain, in his heart. Of course, whatever the Creator is giving is always for the sake of advancing a person. So a person will advance more and more, and a person needs to accordingly arrange himself, what he needs to change in his brain, in his heart, and his feeling and understanding, in order to leave to there's not besides him the good who does good more and more, even though he might feel in his brain, in his heart, confusions in his brain and unpleasant feelings in his heart. Not heal a thy question is this: how can we continue the awakening on the Creator's part in both left and right lines? Try to think that everything is for the good, that there's no bad, as nothing bad as it's written. There's not a cruel person in the king's palace, and we're all inside the upper force. There are no other forces, but there's none besides him. And if I allow myself towards the Creator, and I say that it's only him who is working, and whatever I may feel, I'm always looking only for how to myself, how to be an embryo, and by that I'm bringing myself closer to spirituality, and later, after the degree of annulment, we'll need to annul ourselves even more and more and more in order to be small, and then grow bigger, older, more and more, until we reach equal degree with the Creator. It's all through annulment, meaning the degree of the embryo where we annul ourselves. This is the first degree along the path, which later it simply grows more and more in our understanding, in our feeling, in our participation in how we raise money. But it all starts from the point we just discussed, that everything that happens to us comes from him, and we need to react, respond correctly to it. That everything that he does. So we would now feel the correct conditions for enabling ourselves in order to adhere to him. Okay, can I continue? In the corporeal life too I have to make concessions, right, but I continue to behave according to the rules of this world. But internally I know it all comes from the Creator, and I have to keep nullifying myself. Yes, until you begin to feel, even in everything you see in this world, it's the work of the Creator, and you see no place vacant of him. Okay, USA no West. Thank you, Rob. The question is, how is his nearing felt in the will to receive before calling on him in a desperate prayer, and what is his response to our cry in such a state? There are many modes to that. I can't even answer it. How is our nearing? Our nearing could be by agreeing with him and wanting to be in adhesion in each and every state that comes to us from him and only from him. And that's how we need to react and to arrange ourselves. That's it. Thank you, Rob. My question is if everything comes from the Creator, how can I nullify if I'm smashed between these two forces, the ego and the Creator? Like, what am I? What? Questions are mine to ask of the Creator. You need to try with all your might to annul toward the Creator's turning to you when he gives you a state in your mind and your heart, and you wish to annul to him throughout this state, to annul towards his dominion. And the result from that is that you need to feel that you are dwelling in him, you are present in him, and that begins to come close to the feeling of an embryo in his mother's womb. And that's how we approach him until we discover this state realistically. Good day. Question from the 10. Know how to discern the calling of the Creator. What you are feeling throughout your entire life in this moment comes to you from the Creator. Now the question is, how do you respond to it? They react to it in order to enter the correct form of connection with him. That's the question, and that's our entire work. That's why we are called Kabbalists. We wish to feel the world is coming to us from the Creator, and we receive him. We receive him in this way. That's it. So try to ascribe or assign everything you feel to the Creator, and then think how you need to react to it. Dear, on the one hand, the Creator is calling us, as we heard. On the other hand, we gather in the tens and turn to him on our part. At what stage, how do we meet with the Creator when I towards the 10? Actually, I'm nulling towards the Creator, in effect, although I'm not aware of. So it turns out that that's how I'm getting closer to him, very simply. This is the means. This is the means. I regret hearing from the tens here and there that they don't gather much. If they do, then a portion of the 10 does, and the portion doesn't. Maybe out of 10 friends, 4 come to connect between them, come to a gathering or something, a meeting. We don't understand. It's precisely where our will to receive resists. It's exactly there that we could perhaps do the most accurate spiritual work. Our complaints are always conflicting, resisting, but it's also the Creator's action. Are we still moving towards him? And how do we meet with him? If you overcome the obstacles on the way to connection when the Creator is revealed inside, and the connection that he established in, he brought you to the good faith and the good fortune. He said, take it, and you need to connect in the tent and try to build in it that point of connection. We're in it, and only in it do you feel that center, that place of connection between all the friends, all the hearts, and inside those hearts you will feel the Creator. There's no chance of revealing him any other. Hey, one question is initial, addressed to us. Does it always remain? How does it change? How can it change? If you would be in place of the Creator, how could it be that you're starting any thought or any desire? You're a created being. You're a result. You're an outcome. You can't have something completely of your own. Rather, what's actually yours is the ability to correctly respond to what you're receiving from him. The Creator is always the first. That's how it's written. Is always also the last, meaning he is bringing you to the correct form, the correct reaction. In the end, this is the end of correction. Thank you. Learn everything comes from the Creator, and the feeling is opposite Do we need each and every moment when we connect and define it as him? Do we need to ask for corrections in regards to normal states? No, there's no such thing. You can discern hard things, easy things. There's no difference towards the Creator with regards to him. Light and heavy have nothing to do with it, because it's the light of. So you have to in the right request, in the correct reaction over anything and everything, and begin from there is now besides him, and that everything is coming from him, and from that you're trying to respond to him, and you can respond to him correctly to the extent that you before him, meaning we always remain within the Creator like a drop of semen inside the womb, and the more coarseness is added to us as if we are growing as an embryo inside the womb. We annul ourselves more and more until we come to a state where we grow into the Creator. Although we say that later there is a birth and the suckling in other states, but everything is happening inside the Creator only, inside of him. Hey, keep going. So a good state is when I feel this like a great high spirits, and then still I need to ask him to correct it. I don't know what do you call a good state? It could be a good state as a result of what a feeling attention in the Creator, or getting some news that you made some money somewhere, or you got invited to a party. What is the good state? The good state is when I feel attention in the Creator completely, wholly, as much as I can depict it, and that's considered good to me, that according to my actions when I can bestow to him, I feel I am entirely in attention with him, and that's how we cling to one another. I to my beloved to me, release, in order to respond correctly to everything coming from the Creator, regardless of how we feel it. Is it in our power to do, or we need to ask for that too? This is the force of the 10. It can only be as a result of the force of the group, not from one person. If the group is entirely working on how anything that is happening to each person individually and to everyone together, that it's all coming from the good Creator, it's all for their benefit, then each one receives this force. It's called the force of our, and in this way you advance correctly. Clear. Thank you, Rob. There is a condition here in the 3rd paragraph that he says if you pay attention, you notice the Creator is near you. What is this condition? What do we need to pay attention to? And what does it mean to feel the Creator is near to us? That in each and every moment the Creator is conversing with you, and he wants you to answer. That's it. This is the meaning of being near, and that he's always turning to you, always. And are you trying to always be in contact with him? Thank you. Good morning. He writes here that first a person is lost in the woods, and then he falls into despair, and only then he hears and sees that someone is calling upon him. So what does it mean? And the Creator is first in that state. Well, the Creator arranges the forest for him, and the person feels himself in the forest when in this life, our normal living existence, we feel lost. We have nothing out of it. We even wish to come out of it, and we can't, and we see ourselves coming to an end, and we have nothing out of it. I got no benefit out of it. That's how we grow old, and from that we cry. If there's a group that awakens us, and we cry out, and if not even without a group, we may be immersed in that forest as we remain, as we are lost, and we can die the moment we hear the voice of the Creator from within our life, as if we are in this dark forest. So being in the forest, and we hear the voice of the Creator, we feel that there's a place of salvation, there's a ray of light shining to us inside a world of darkness. So can we say that only where we hear the Creator's voice there's a state of choice, because the Creator does everything before that and also after that. Before that there's a choice, and the choice is only through the group. When the Creator shines, it's no longer a choice. The choice is according to your effort to connect to the group, and there you hold on to the anchor, the compass, the direction, and you try to come out of the forest, and then in the group, when you are trying to look for the Creator, where is he? What does he want from us? In this way, you emerge from the forest. But he warns us here that if you accept the awakening, you say that the Creator, then okay. But if you say it's yourself, then no. So is there a choice here in the part that feels the awakening? But we learned that the choice is only in the choice of the group that in choosing the group you are starting to approach the Creator, to look for Him, to hold on to Him. Alone you cannot do it. Alone it will not happen. So the awakening that comes is an awakening for the connection in the 10. The awakening comes to you so that you begin to understand again and again that in the connection with the 10 you're advancing towards the Creator. How will you actually build an embryo constructed if you're not connected to others? But at this point where the Creator awakens me to want to connect with the friends, I can also choose to not want to connect with the friends, right? Meaning I can say it's not the Creator's doing that or what. We'll talk about it. I going to give you a clear answer. It's better if you make some mistakes and it get clearer and clearer to you how to orient yourself, how to save yourself. It means that when I feel to the blackness, if I try to cling to the Creator, then can you repeat the question? That 2 different ways, really everything we have in our brain and in our heart we receive from Him. Okay, what can help a person see that the Creator is calling upon him? What can help a person see the Creator is calling upon him, the support from the friends. There has to be a field around the person that will correctly direct him to the source from which he's hearing. Who is he hearing? If he's alone, he needs to have it needs to be the correct time, needs to have the correct soul. This is not the case in our time. We are advancing only to the extent we tie ourselves to the 10, to 10 tens and then to all of humanity. And that's how we aim ourselves at the goal. 25. Turns out from what we said that if I receive an awakening from above, it's like the Creator has taken away my choice. So there's room to understand I didn't make enough work of my own so He could awaken me. Why do you think there's a choice? That, without any connection to the awakening from above, I work from below and try to achieve. You work from below. Yeah, I'm not waiting for an awakening from above. So what are you reacting to? If it's not coming from above, I'm not responding. I'm not waiting. Hold on. You're the created being, the creature. You only react to things. Otherwise, you're not even inanimate. If you're doing anything, it's always as a reaction. The upper light does the work, and you are the will to receive. The will to receive is dust, so the response is really only for how the Creator brought me to the group and said take it. If I respond to that, then I work on my own and I don't need more awakening than that. You ask the Creator the reverse. You keep turning to Him and you keep asking Him to awaken you with finer, more exalted discernment, because you understand that you're only a reaction to the influence of the Creator, that you are the created being and He is the Creator. He is always the first. Consequently, you're turning to Him and you ask Him to accompany you more and more in our. As we turn to Him, we simply increase the pace of our development. So Rob, what is an awakening from below? How can we reach that? This is awakening from below, and we agree with what the Creator is doing. Although this entire process runs contrary to our ego, nevertheless, we turn to Him and we ask Him to work more and more and more on us. That's why a person is not capable of turning to the Creator with such a prayer, but only through the 10. Thank you. You said in principle, if a person is minimally connected to the Creator, even a smaller degree, you're already in wholeness. If you don't let go, what's then the role you recommend to give to reading the articles and awakening lights? 'Cause really I don't need a lot of quantity, right? The upper light is constant. It is an absolute rest. Each and everyone awakens it according to his desire, according to his direction, orientation. It was willingness, readiness. And when we say a bigger light or a smaller light, it all depends on the desire of the vessel. So here it only speaks of a person, how much he can awaken, how much he can awaken himself, and in this way to advance. There is importance here that the whole 10 is reading it, and we read it all together. Both we need to read it alone. Let's say read the articles 3 to 5 times individually. Each one does it until he can see the text. He can scribble on it. To add the question marks connect with the text. It's very important. And then when you read it together a few times slowly and you begin to feel that this might be confusing to a person, but this is already a different kind of work. But this is how you're preparing yourself for the Creator to work on you through the 10. This is already a form that's closer to the Creator, although it might seem to you more distant, not so personal, but it is more spiritual. Let's try to read it by ourselves, and later try to read it together, if possible. Another last thing, you say many times that it's very important to read, and in the beginning of the path, there was more strength to do it, or maybe we're just a very spoiled generation, but there's no strength to read it 15, 20 times. I'm envious at the friends who actually do it, but so what are we supposed to do? Ask the Creator for strength really. Force oneself to do it. Let me tell you, I read the Shamarati articles hundreds of times, not dozens of times, hundreds of times, and each time I take the article, as is the original, I begin to introduce different signs, commas, periods. I strike out some things. I want to connect with the text even in this way, and each time I see that I'm highlighting new things, that I connect to the text in new way. And I see that nevertheless there are changes. If I open an article, I don't see any contact with me, then I'm happier because now if I try to enter it, I will surely find something new in it. If I see that I have nothing new, that I'm not ready for the article, I'll simply read it the way I already know it by heart. It's not good. We can say if a person didn't read it several times, then he's definitely not seeing the whole meaning of it with certainty. Look, the Shamarti articles, Rabash didn't give them to anyone, but I saw over the years as I was walking out with him, as I was driving for a couple of days in Tiberias or elsewhere, we had once every 2 weeks custom to gather with our students and go somewhere and be there with sleeping there and eating there and studying there and doing hikes there and so on so forth. And I would see that this is what he's taking with him. This is what he's studying. He loved studying the Shamarti, and also a part of the study of the T item 16, the last portion that we will soon learn together as well. The main thing in the Shamarti articles is that they correctly aim a person towards the upper force. Only by correctly connecting to the upper force he can advance until he reaches adhesion. So how can it be that he cannot let go of these articles? No, not to let go of it, but to get to bring in, to a minimal extent, those who are considered your students, and even to read automatically just 5 times the I think it's correct when I come due to a lesson. It's a sign that I read the article yesterday. I read the article at least 3 times. I read today's article maybe even more times, 4 or 5 times, and also this morning when I got up I read it twice, because I have to come to you with a certain inner willingness, and in such a way that this article is prepared in me, is ready. Otherwise how will I convey anything to you of what I need to do from the Creator? And anyone who's not doing it this way, I don't think he will be able to succeed. I don't think so. Even more than that, even better. Yesterday, let's say, we read an article, so it's good to read it with the group. Then that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm also doing with my group. And also today, when we come to the lesson, before the lesson, we read this article in the group. Each one reads an excerpt. In this way, we are preparing ourselves internally in the connection between the hearts and in renewing this matter itself. I'm asking you to treat what we're learning in the Sham article seriously. It's a true asset of how to connect to the Creator. Truly, it exists nowhere, and no one is getting this. I received it from the Rabash. Well, I was reading these articles when I was next to him, but when he was on his deathbed, he gave me the notebook and he said, "You take it." And then I understood that it's probably the end. So we have to treat these articles extremely seriously. The women question from Latin 12 with this feeling of near or far. That depend on how much light I can receive in my vessel. Meaning is the feeling of distance or closeness depend on how suitable the vessels are. Obvious. Yes, of course that depends on that and on many other parameters. It has to do with the root of one's soul, and we can talk about it now. This is an intellectual question, not a true emotional question. From Latin 13, it says only if he did not complete his work on the path of correction he cannot feel and think that it's the voice of the Creator, and you think that it is his power and the might of his hand. What does it mean that he did not complete his actions on the path of correction? Ra means he's not in the complete adhesion, and it turns out that he cannot ascribe to the Creator everything that's happening to him. A question from Brazil 3: a person who does not pray, does not do any scrutinies. Is it because the Creator is far, and also because he's not doing everything that's required of him? He's not connecting with the 10. He's not doing everything that's required of him through the study, and that's why he doesn't bring himself to the feeling, to the understanding of what's happening to him from the Creator. From Latin 21, before I came to Kabbalah, I felt distant in the Creator. Now I don't have that feeling, but I cannot ask the Creator, how can I turn to the Creator? If you connect with the friends and you start asking for how to connect to the Creator, you'll understand that it is possible, that it is near. Start composing the correct prayer. Start looking for what the Creator is doing to you. Together, how does he care for you? Because all of you together in the group, you are like an embryo inside the Creator. So the more you connect, the more you'll feel the influence of the Creator. It's a simple thing. It all depends on the level of connection between you. Greater intensity of connection, and you'll feel the Creator is working on you. If you separate from one another, you'll feel the Creator is moving apart. That's how it's happening. This is a result of all the conditions. When you say that the Creator is behind every friend, the Creator is in the center of the 10, and so on so forth. In this way, through the connection between us, we come closer to him. There's no other way to discover him, to reveal him, only when we feel as close as possible between us, to such an extent it cannot be that we will feel ourselves not dependent on one another, but on the contrary. Each day our mutual interdependence has to grow to such an extent that if I lose connection with a friend, by that I immediately feel that I'm falling from spirituality to corporality. For me, spirituality is a feeling inside the 10 or within the 10, and corporality is a feeling outside of the 10. Very simple, only in this way. Friends, now we will move to a live lesson with Raf. Hello. We are reading from the study of the tense. We are in volume 1 part 4. We are in chapter 1 item 5. The words of the prior to the existence of Aim, the upper light could not provide, could not clothe any vessel. That is because, again, prior to the existence of Aim, the upper light could not clothe any vessel. That is because the vessels could not tolerate it, and the light did not clothe the vessel until the expansion of that great light reached the phase of then the existence of a single vessel. For that great light has been made, and there began a certain limitation of the light in which could not have been done. Thus far, we'll read again item 5, the words of the prior to the existence of Ordum, meaning in the tense of the rule there are no vessels. Item 5. Prior to the existence of Ordum, the upper light could not clothe any vessel. That is because the vessels could not tolerate it, and the light did not clothe the vessel until the expansion of that great light reached the phase of aiming. Then the existence of a single vessel, for that great light has been made, and there began a certain limitation of the light in which could not have been done thus far. Yes, so I don't see any questions, and we also talked a lot about it. Let's move on. We will continue in inner light. We are in item 30 that clarifies what could not have been done thus far, meaning that although Malat of the row also limits the upper light, which is why the coupling by striking occurred there and the raising of the reflected light. Nevertheless, this limitation and this reflected light both are not regarded as an actual limitation, only as a potential limitation, as the writes in Trio of Life, Gate 42, is like a primeval substance containing the root of all 4 elements, but in potential, not an actual fact. It is therefore possible to call it Nof and Emanate, referring to the tens of called, the word. These words of the Alia are indeed profound, and we must understand them, for they pertain to the very root of the wisdom and its beginning. We must determine the difference between potential and actual that the speaks of. He divides between the tens of the that clothe the reflected light from below upward, and the tens of the clothe the reflected light from above downward. It is there. It is for that reason that the tense fill of there are sometimes called and inator to the tense fill of the goof. How is the built? We need to study that. What does it mean that writes that the wash is like a kettle, that it symbolizes the kettle? It means that it is the highest of the entire puff, and it determines in which form and to what measure the light will expand inside the vessel, and the row is a result of the reflected light, or the direct light is a result of the rows, comes first, and it determines which lights and where they will enter, and how much they will enter. Okay, without the reality of limiting the light in potential, there's no reality of limitation of the light in actual in fact. So what is it for us in potential versus actual? The vessel is still calculating how much it can receive in order to bestow. This means in potential later on, when the light comes and truly it expands, according to those rules and limitations that the vessel determined, then it is considered in actual fact. In the intention to bestow in potential, there's an actual connection with the upper light, and then as a result a response in the goof. Yes, so our connection with the upper light, with the upper force, is always in potential. Our connection with the upper light. Yes, always. I can say that we're just in the beginning of our study, right? But the first restriction is not cancelled, right? Yes, Moldova, we can't hear you. Moldova, we can't hear you. They have some problem there. Okay, Shalom. Hello, Raf. Since we started studying Tess, I feel the connection in my 10 became stronger. Great. How is it that the study of Tess connects us in a deeper way? Because we're engaging in the operations of the upper light, and this is the force that connects all the elements of the world. I know that is people, and the steel, and vegetative, and animate, all of them together. This is why through the study we indeed feel how good it would be if we were to connect. It feels like a miracle. Is that the work of the upper light, or this touches on the root, they are common root, both. The study reaches the root of each one, and our common root, and it pushes us, all of us, towards connection. It's very powerful. How can I use the connection? So as to strengthen my knowledge of this also. This will come later. Many actions where you try to understand what is written, and why it is written in this way, and not in another way. By that you build within yourself new vessels, and these new vessels, these discernments, they bring you to a feeling, to the understanding of the text. Thank you very much that we're studying together. Yes, thanks. I'm also pleased with that. Well, Daddy, what do we have next? We will continue, where the thing is that there is a great difference between the inner light, the difference and distance between the reflected light that rises from the screen from upward and above that close, the tens of the row, and the reflected light that comes down with the direct light from the tensity road of the row down to the appears that they are opposite from one another, because the reflected light that rises from below upward, not only is it not regarded as the vessel of reception for the clothing direct light, but it even has in it resistance to reception. This is how it seems to us. It is so because any from below upward means that the light turns to the emanator and not to the receivers. However, the ascending reflected light still becomes a clothing for the upper light. In other words, it becomes the root for the attachment of the upper light to the emanated being. Since the vessel of the L, which raised that reflected light, is expanded and broadened by it from her and within her, and becomes a vessel of reception called the goof of the. It is so because the tens of the descend from above downward, expand, and clove within her. This means that this is how it works with the upper light according to the movements of the vessel. It feels it, and this is how it descends. You see that, although from the perspective of their own quality, that tends to feel of the depart from being a vessel of reception, as this is the meaning of reflected light that rises from below upward, meaning to the emanator and not to the emanator being, as was written above. Nevertheless, all the light that is actually received in the goof is only from the tens of the row that expanded it from above downward. As explained in item 30, for this reason, the 10 out of the row are considered to have 10 potential capiro, but not actual. It means that the actual clothing of the light in the vessels is not at all in the arch, but only has potential and the route from which the clothing will be extended. This is why the row is called archet. Can. Yes. Mark 11. Mark 11. We can't hear you. Okay. In the beginning of item 30, it says that the limits the upper light. Yes. Which is why coupling by striking occurred there and the raising over the reflected light in the coupling of striking. What is being what is being struck in the coupling by striking? We have the issue of stopping the light and then making a calculation with it. This is what is called coupling by striking. These are two opposite things. Coupling means connection and striking is the opposite, rejection. Yeah, and when these two things connect, the coupling and the striking, then the reception of the light occurs within the vessel. So what's been struck? The striking is in that the light, which is in favour of the vessel, no, stands as if against the clothing. I strike something within me. You strike something within you. Yes. What is that? That you on the one hand want to receive the light. Yeah, you drawn to it. But on the other hand, you discover that the upper light is the opposite of you. And then you need to make a calculation. How much are you able make the reception of the light be in order to bestow and not in order to receive? So what do I strike? You strike this same force that exists in the upper light that wishes to clothe my inside the light inside the vessel. What about my will to receive? I strike it too. Yes, of course. What discernment about it exactly? What is the opposite? Against the expansion of the light. Thank you. Also, it says that we're raising the raising of the reflected light. What is that? What do I need to raise? The vessel raises reflected light. That close on the direct light. And in this way it is able to receive it in order to bestow. So what do I raise? Reflected light. What light do I have to raise? You resist the reception of the light directly, but rather you retell it. So when you clothe it inside your reflected light, this is how it becomes direct light that is clothed. Within direct light is clothed within the reflected light, and these two lights are considered as light that you receive inside your vessel. Can I ask another question? Yes. In a question in the beginning of the week said that this clothing is an embrace. It's a hug of the creator and the creator being. Yes. What is that? Embrace. That we need to express a desire to embrace the upper light with our reflected light. What is this embrace? Even though the two of them are opposites of each other, however, for the sake of taking one step forward in our connection, they perform such actions where each one of them goes towards the other to them. Thank you. Lucky 11. I hope now you can hear me. Please explain based on what does the make the calculation of how much light to receive. Where does it take the power and understanding for that? It exists within it already. The light that close inside the vessel inside the will to receive, to the extent that it fills it that will receive, to that extent it is already receiving in order to bestow. 26. Please explain. What's the connection between tense field of row that ascend and the tense field of goof that descend? How are they connected? And why does the say that they need to be differentiated? Because the tens of the row there is resistance to the light, and the tens of the goof there is actually expansion from above downwards. This is why we have a coupling by striking, where the tens of there resist the tens of the go, and these clothe over those. This is why, through the resistance between them, where the upper light can cloying them and expand from above downward, if I understand correctly this reflected light, which comes from below upward, that's light of, I wouldn't say so. We will learn more about it. There are many kinds of lights. To assign names to them in advance, it's not worthwhile. Thank you. Moscow, when the reflect light rises to N, and this N essentially expands the vessel. So how can the NOF expand? It's already infinite, and also the vessel that rises to it also becomes like self, can feel any vessel upon which it performs a measurement, coupling by striking. Therefore, it has no problems with it, with the fact that it close from about downwards from the horse to the doof. Woman, Kirky 7. In item 30 talks about the limitation that limits the upper light. So why does this limitation not occur before the world of? There is no root for the limitation of the light. There's no root yet. Where are you reading? In item 30. Item 30. Before the existence of aim, the light couldn't enter any vessel because the vessels could not tolerate it, and there it did not clothe the clay until the expansion of that great light reached the phase of aim, and there was an existence of one vessel, and so forth. Then he says later on that started to be some existence of limitation of the light in that which couldn't have happened thus far. So she's saying, why thus far? Why wasn't it before? Because no, there was no expansion of light within the vessels yet. It's very simple. When you have striking and coupling, you receive exactly according to how much you intend for it to be in order to be still. So the light flows from above downwards in the vessels, and it descends. And here there is already an existence of lights and vessels. We will learn more about it inside. What else do we have? Florida. Good morning, Rob. He writes at good morning at the item 30. At the end of the third paragraph he writes that the reflected light has resistance to reception. What does it mean? What does it mean? That the reflected light has resistance to reception. Seemingly reject the light that comes to the vessel. This is what resistance means. I like it. How much it repels to the upper light that wants to clothe in the vessel. So here the reflected light repels it. Sorry. Oh, how many questions. It is reflected light. What does it mean that it repels the light? He basically asks if it's reflected light. It's already a claim that is corrected with a screen. So why does it reject the light? What's there to resist to? It resists because for the time being it is against its desire, or it is still not light that is clothed within the reflected light. This is why he doesn't receive it. After there would be rejection repelling on behalf of the lower one. That repelling by the lower one will close in the upper one, and then it would be possible to say that they have some sort of nearing between them one with the other. Woman, Argentina wonder. Hello dear Robin friends. The question is if the rule is the source where there's thought, calculation and decision. How to relate to the creator. How is it possible to create such a in the 10? Why do you ask about the 10? How is it possible to form the spiritual in the 10? How can the 10 come to such a relation to the creator? The friends connect between them and they want to perform one spiritual action together. They raise their deficiency upwards and they want to receive at least a part of the upper light. Then they feel what kind of resistance to the clothing they can have between them and the clothing itself. And then when they carry out these two actions, one which is rejection and the other one which is attraction during, then it turns out that through such an operation they receive a part of the upper light through the rejection. This is why it is called coupling by striking. That through the striking ants occurs. That's it. You should Japan. We have Japan. Sorry. We have the Japan group. Yes. Japan. Hello, Rob. Hello. We heard earlier in the lesson that it is our ego that we heard before in the lesson disturbs us. Does Creator ever disturb us? Of course, if we are talking about the reception of the light, we have to do it only through striking and connection, coupling. And therefore, it's not good that we talk about one thing and think about something else. This is what is happening to me. We'll start reading. We'll continue reading. Where are we? We are in there. In a light. They wrote then meaning after. The light expanded in the goof called the existence of a single vessel, for that great light has been made, and there began a certain limitation of the light in it which could not have been done thus far. It means that before the meaning in the mal of the there could not be any limitation there, because when Malat limits and raises reflected light, in the tense field of this limitation is actual bestow. Since the greater the limitation, greater the measure of bestow. The limitation of phase 4 extends the level of a smaller limitation, meaning only on. Phase 3 extends only the level of. Thus no limitation is discerned in the whatsoever. Let's continue. We'll continue with item 6 from the words of the headline. The vessel of Akudim is Keter. 10 vessels, 2 emerged below Ordum, and in aim a single vessel was made for the 10. Item 6. However, the entire light was the part of the parts of the absolute. They were all concealed in but a single vessel, and that vessel had the face of the vessel of the upper ket in it. Afterwards, the light expanded further down from that face called, and then 10 vessels were made. We will read again item 6. Headline: The vessel of Acudum is 10 vessels, emerged below, and in a single vessel was made for the tense. Item 6. However, first the entire light was of the parts that reach. They were all concealed in but a single vessel, and that vessel had the face of the vessel of the upper ket in it. Afterwards, the light expanded further down from that face called aim, and then 10 vessels were made. Okay. Item 7. We'll continue. Item 7. Headline: There is a force of tense in the upper light. Item 7. Let's begin to clarify the existence of what it's about. Know that the upper light is the part that is fitting to clove. It has the force of the tens, although they are as yet not apparent as 10 lights, but only after the completion of aim. However, certainly the force of these 10 lights was there to begin with. But since the light was not limited inside the vessel, it was still not apparent that they are 10. Again, item 7. There's a force of tense in the upper light. 7. Let us begin to clarify the existence of aim, what it's about. Know that the upper light is the part that is fitting to clove. It has the force of the tens, although they are as yet not apparent as 10 lights, but only after the completion of aim. However, certainly the force of these 10 lights was there to begin with, but since the light was not limited inside the vessel, it was still not apparent that they are 10. Inner light. Item 40, meaning only after the 2 and Seiko emerged and were revealed when the light entered and departed the vessel 10 times. These entrances and exits created and distinguished the 10 separate lights, and 50-50 clarifies the force of the 10 lights. This is before they expanded to meaning in the T of where the 10s are only in potential and not in actuality. Item 60 clarifies according to how the light was not limited inside the Kli. Item 60. This limitation begins to manifest only through a coupling by striking and the essence of reflected light from below upward in the second look that comes after the clothing of the light in the emanated being, meaning after aim. However, the light is not limited by the first look in the remember that. Again, item 70. Now in the inner light clarifies there was still no existence of them being 10. Item 70. Even in the expansion of from the rush downward, it was still not apparent that they are 10 lights. Because the 10 lights are regarded as a single lights. It is so because all the differentiations in the lights are from the perspective of the vessels in which they clothed. Since here there is only one vessel, the 10 lights are also regarded as a single light. We have questions. Rar. Yes, well, let's start. May. From where? Women 112. Hello dear. We learned that the reflected light when it rises to the it's all of the tens of the direct light, but its expansion in the goof stops at the table. Can we say that this is the root governance of Malat which determines the limitation of their light's action in the world, and thus creates the separation between and the. Can we say that the control of Malhud is actually the form of creation, because Shu is what limits and allows the Kli to exist? No, in fact, he said everything correctly, but with different words. We will learn that from the book. Women Mark 83. Hello, please explain. How can we feel inner light between us? Between us, we can't do it yet. We need to learn how to carry out a certain number of actions. We will be able to raise ourselves to be a single vessel in which we will be able to measure ourselves and feel ourselves in relation to each other, and perform actions that will be in a single poo. What is the meaning of the world in the inner work? The world of is the first world, and what it does is it connects all the vessels together. Later on, with respect to these vessels, we can measure our actions. From lesson to lesson, there are many terms, many details. On the one hand, there's a lot of longing to feel the tense F to the lesson, but on the other hand there's a lot of confusion, and sometimes it feels like getting lost a bit. So how to keep the right structure, how to format these terms within us in relation to our work in the tin. I don't think that's a problem. You only need to try to put these things in order. There is the upper light, the screen and the reflected light, and you will see those few things. And if you put all of these things in order, then you will not get confused. Reflected light is that which brings contentment to the creator. Yes, Rob, in one of the items we read it says about the look that does the first look and the second look. What is that? Below upwards. It's an operation from below upwards. We will learn about it soon. We didn't yet get into the explanation of the inner light for her 810. Whether the light is in potential or the discernments between the there or not yet. Yes. So what's the difference in between the discernments of and goof? We make the discernments in the goof because there we have vessels, and every light is inside its vessel. So then we can assign discernment to the lights according to the vessels. The rabbit says that before. There cannot be limitation. What is this imagination of limitation? What is it in our work? It means that it doesn't receive the light. All of its work is summed up in that. With all of its efforts, it will reject the upper light. It will clo on it or clo it. This is why it says so. Why is that true? Still, we can say in our work that this is the intention we build before any connection, meaning our intention to bestow. It could be this potential that ultimately becomes realized. So first it's our intention so that it can be realized in our desire. And yes, we will talk more about it. It's not exactly the way it seems, but it's close to that already. If I can continue, a practical question. We are 3,000 people in the lesson. Can we say that we are the tense of and the whole world is tense of goof? No, don't say such things. Don't even think them. We're still very far from copying or projecting from the upper world to our world. Hello, how do lights become revealed in the 10? How does that happen? The lights that appear or in the 10. If in the 10 we have a complete correct order structure from the ket to the malhood general, then that same relation, that is, in between the tensifiates also with respect to the lights. And then we can already talk about the clothing of the lights inside the vessel. Woman Moscow 8, Netflix. Due to the lack of equivalence of qualities between man and the upper light, the creator being feels shame, and it's a process that is not in man's control. How to prevent that? This is still ahead of us. We don't have the possibility to do these things, and therefore I don't even begin to explain them, as later on they'll appear by themselves. They'll become clear out of our study. In this world, do we connect everything at once? Or there are other ways to make a connection? No, there are none. Besides striking and coupling, we have no other actions by which we can connect and equalize ourselves with other pursuim. Ambassador. Okay, Leo. Okay, hello Rob. I wanted to ask, he writes in all these items about their existence of ordum. Now there's a lack of understanding for me. He writes about aim that it's from the to the we know that is the world of. Below the tap is already the world of. Yesterday we said and is all in a. Question is where in the system is that? We read all these items about. I would say it's in the pair of until when down to the tab. So that means that the world of is. No, is all of it from there. Talk. So when we talk, we're talking about, it's still a yes. When we're talking about, and it's still a yes. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Rob, and the content team for studying tests and also listening to Rabash lessons. It's really inspiring. When we discuss such lessons with the friends, we see two approaches. One is when a person is truly trying to understand every term and digest everything, and another approach that a friend says that only the smart wants things like that, but I need to mostly think about the friends and the social articles, and the understanding test will come later, and some write a lot in the books and so on, and today many are just listening in test. And so how do you today, how should today study test? What's the spirit in which to prepare ourselves for these lessons? We need to understand. But the acquisition of the upper light from our world is not a simple task. We're capable of doing it. So let's simply study. It's not bad if we didn't understand today. Tomorrow we will understand it. maybe over the next 5 lessons suddenly it will become clear. It will be more clear to us, and in this way we will move forward. I know many students are ashamed to ask questions. They don't yet show themselves, but all of that will come. We need to go through this book, the study of the Tensafi wrote, whatever is written in the first volume, and later. It will already be clear to us where we are, in which degree, how we can feel ourselves are a little bit with the force of the upper light, and in this way we will advance, and the right intention or elevating the clue how to prepare for that in the lesson. The right intention is that there will be a vessel in the first degree in 1 degree, and it will be able to model inside of it all kinds of different possibilities that we're reading about. Woman, thank you. In the beginning of the lesson in item 30, you talked about the flea having to receive the like on the one hand and rejecting it on the other hand. How can the clay put together these two opposites? Again in item 30, you discussed how the vessel on the one hand needs to reject a light on the other hand to accept it. How can the vessel carry out these two opposites at once? Well, the question was how can there be two opposites in the clay at once? I don't see where in item 30. Yes, you talked about it in the beginning of the lesson, that it rejects the light, but also accepts the light. So how can that be? How can the vessel carry out two opposites? How does it not choose just one action? Because the rejection of the light is the condition for the reception of the light. In this action of repelling, it opens itself up and it begins to receive. How does he have control over it? How doesn't it not just receive? This is how it is. There is such a thing. It's called to receive in order to bestow. What's the additional element allowing that? It's simple. I don't know what else to say, how to explain it. Because to me, it seems maybe I don't understand. But to me it seems like a clay has one action it's going for. It doesn't really have the ability to contain two opposites at once. Maybe it's a mistake. Maybe it can. But that's how it appears to me at least. Yes. Okay, all right. I think that here we need to end, and tomorrow we will begin from the explanation in either light to item 5. Yes, tomorrow we need to start at item 8. Item 8, or we can start from wherever you suggest. Rob, we will conclude the lesson now. Thank you very much, and we will move together to learn from the Zor. Shalom. We will read in Zoh for all, and we're reading from general explanation for all the 14 mitzvot and how they divide to the 7 days of creation. We'll start from item 13. Item 13. Okay. Item 13. The 9th commandment. 13. The 9th commandment is to pardon the poor and to willingly give them. Pray. By that we cause the association of the quality of judgment with the quality of mercy above. Since Bat partakes with Mao in the autumn hay in Neku, and returns from there into me, which is Gal, in lights of Nefs, her descend to Zed. Return to Galar, and I'm in light, but they descend to be inside are in the lights of back of Godlut. This is the verse. Let us make man of the 6th day of the work of creation. Said, let us, and partook with, to beget Vak for man. 14. The 10th commandment is to wear, to fill in, and to complement oneself in the upper form. By that we cause the return of God. When the bottom he descends from, to pay once more, and the letters return to their degree. When Zon raised their letters from to their degree to absolute, arise along with them, and we receive from Zona of the first Godlut, regarded as Moin of the first Godlut. This is the verse of the 6th day of the work of creation, and God created man in his own image. These Mothgar of God are drawn in the, which is called the men in, Abba, in is, and in is that zone. Also they are the 4 portions in the Toilin. 1 sanctify is the men in, 2, and it shall be when the Lord brings you is lamed in. 3 here is of, and 4 and it shall come to pass if indeed you listen is of. These are the 4 move serpent, and the head to fill in. The 4 portions of the hand to fill in are the 4 mo received by of Rachel. It is the 2 times Telm presented in the verse, and God created man in his own image. In the image of God did he create them. In his own image applies to the head to fill in the, and the image of God applies to the hand to fill in and of. This completes the of the first Godlut. For a person meaning of the first Godlut through the commandment to pardon the poor and gar, of the first Godlut through the commandments of wearing the fill-in. 15. The 11th commandment is to give tithing from 10% of the land. Through this commandment one is rewarded with receiving nefesh of light of from upper, since once a person has been completed with naran of the first godlut through he should begin to obtain the godlut, the light of. This divides into 4 phases, and to attain them we were given the 4 commandments. One is rewarded with nefesh by the commandment of giving the tithing of the land, since erit land is considered nefesh, as it is written, Behold, I have given you every herb yielding seed upon the face of all the earth. Said on the 6th day of the work of creation. He writes, Behold, I have given, and it is written, and to the sons of Levi, I have given every tithing in Israel, as it is tithing there. It is the tithing of the earth here as well, on the face of all the earth. Because one who is rewarded with nefesh of light of hay governs all the earth's sins, all they shall surrender before him. It is written about their nefesh, Bring the whole tithe into the storehouse so that there may be food in my house, and test me now in this, if I will not open for you the windows of heaven, and pour out for you a blessing until it overflows. Nefesh is called tithing. After Malhut is the 10th. But nefesh of the light of is the whole tithing, the complete wholeness of the tithing. We're going to renew our clip with the clip of Raf. So let's all connect around the book of Zor and think about how to receive help from Abba in order to not separate from the great appreciation. 2. Concession, annulment, connection, love, detachment from self and adhesion to the Creator. So concession, annulment, detachment from self and adhesion to the Creator. Item 16. The 12th commandment is to bring the first fruit of the tree. Through this commandment, one is rewarded with receiving the light of from the light of that comes from Abuah. It is so because first fruit comes from the firstborn and above our first, beginning as explained in the first commandment. And since it is from the tree, the first fruit of the tree, they are regarded as, since the tree is vegetative, regarded as the still vegetative animate, and speaking correspond to still tenef, tenishimar, and speaking. It is written about it, and every tree in which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. It is written of the fruit of the tree, and it is written thus all the tithe of the land of the seed of the land or of the fruit of the tree is the Lord's. As it is the first fruit in the fruit of the tree, there it is the first fruit. Here, as he explains the words, is the Lord's as anything that befits me is forbidden for you to eat. 17. The 13th commandment is to redeem one's son, to tie him to life, and to weaken the appointee of over death, of whom it was said, Very, this is the angel of death. By that he is rewarded with from the light of. In terms of order, he should have been rewarded with hair from the light of by. This commandment, since speaking is the light of, once he has been rewarded with nefesh through the fruit of the land and the fruit of the tree, since they are still and vegetative. He should have been rewarded with from the light of hair through the firstborn of a beast as it is animate, and with through the firstborn of man as it is the speaking. However, the redemption of the firstborn does not completely surrender the angel of death, only weakens him. Upon the giving of the Torah, he became completely liberated from the angel of death. But then through the sin of the calf, the work was taken from the firstborn of Israel, and was given to the priests. Since the filth of the serpent from the sin of the tree of knowledge that the angel of death brought to the world was mingled in Israel again through the calf, it is about this correction of the firstborn of Israel that the commandment of redeeming the firstborn was given in 5 rocks, corresponding to the correction of all 10, which are 5 phases. The firstborn reaches through upper above, rashit, or beginning. Through the correction of the 5 rocks, we reconnect the firstborn to the upper life, weakening the angel of death, so he cannot govern them, though we did not completely remove him, as he was liberated from the angel of death prior to the sin with the calf. Hence the commandment of redemption of the firstborn is not enough to draw out of the light of, as it is meant to be cancelling the angel of death as it was upon the giving of the Torah before the sin with the calf. Rather, it is a degree below it, the degree of light of upper above, and not more. Was said on the 6th day of the work of creation, and God saw all that he has done, and it was very good. Good is the angel of life, and Feria is the angel of death, since the angel of death was sweetened and was more important than the angel of life. However, now during the 6,000 years, he does not arrive at this great sweetening. Rather, this was said only for the end of correction. Yet by redemption of the firstborn, which only weakens him, and not more, he is rewarded only with, by the redemption. 18. The 14th commandment is to keep the Sabbath day and to connect the Sabbath day to its caducer. Through these two commandments, one is rewarded with on the seventh day. As it is written, and God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it. Since by keeping from desecrating the Sabbath, one is rewarded with a blessing, and by sanctifying the Sabbath, with the lights of the Sabbath, one is rewarded with caducer. The light of is Kedusher because upper Abba are called holy, and in the afternoon prayer of Sabbath, that of light of Yeder is extended. Yet, it is impossible to extend Gar of Yehid during the 6,000 years, but only at the end of correction. We're continuing to an article, the explanation of the division of the 14 into 10 utterances. Once the 14 commandments and the way they are divided into the 7 days of creation have been clarified, let us clarify the order of their division in the 10 utterances by which the word was created. First utterance, in the beginning God created Bereshit, is both an utterance as well as the first commandment, fear, because he is great and rules over everything. It is the degree of Abba of implied in the Yud. But Aber is Yuder, is Vidal of the filling of the Yud. It is pure Gar of Viner. Second utterance, and God said let there be light. The second commandment is great love on the side of Hesed Garov, the light that was created on the first day of the 6 days of creation, in which Adam soar from the end of the world to its end. This is the first he of third utterance. And God said, let there be a firmament. This is the concealing of the light and the harsh judgment that came out in it. The completion of the second commandment, so that love will be on both sides, even if he takes your soul. It is considered the from of and below. Fourth utterance, and God said let the waters be gathered. The third commandment is to know that there is a great God who rules over the whole world, and to unify him daily with a proper unification. The unification of Hear, O Israel, called the upper unification. This is extension of that of the 3 previous utterances into fifth utterance.